Hello everybody and welcome to today's video about how to set up your flight controls. For me as a helicopter pilot, there was no doubt about DCS is a simulator program and I have to fly the helicopter as it comes out of the box. So I don't think about changing in flight characteristics or changing anything in cyclic or collective control setups or something like that. Until the point I tried to fly with the Gazelle. The Gazelle was hard work for me, and I started thinking about control systems and control settings. And actually, I realized most of you did not have any pilot experience in real life. So maybe for the most of you, it's a game, and you're right. So I start thinking about setting up the flight controls. What are the real settings? What are the best settings to set up the flight controls? And the easiest answer for that is you have to set up the flight control, so you have to be able to fly that thing, and you have to have fun. So that's the most important thing. If you're still interested in helicopter simulation, you can adjust the setups according to your progress. So that makes it very easy, but there are still a lot of possibilities in setting up your flight controls. I would recommend to use pedals for tail roller control and the yaw of the helicopter, and if you have a thrust lever, there's no difference between the thrust lever and the collective pitch. According to the position you connected the thrust lever to your seat or to your cockpit, whatever you use. So the only difference may be in cyclic control. If you have a simulator cyclic stick, it's a little bit not that much sensitive like your joystick, so you can adjust your joystick at least to with a curve of 4 to 10 points to adjust the cyclic control feeling, and maybe that's the first step you have to do. The second one will be in the DCS settings. I would recommend to switch to the arcade modus. If you never have flown a helicopter, switch to the arcade modus, because the physics will be the same, but it's much easier to fly, and you don't get into changing any physics. So in the aircraft itself, you may change control settings by pressing the escape button and choosing control settings, axis, and then axis adjustments. So as I said earlier, you may adjust a light curve, but maybe more convenient would be to change the Y axis. So you reduce the actual control axis of your helicopter, not on your joystick. You have the full movement on the joystick, but the axis on the helicopter will be reduced. So the movement on the helicopter itself will be reduced as much as you adjusted it. In the UH1, I choose adjustment of 60. So for me, it's very uncomfortable to fly with the adjustment of 60, because I don't make any adjustments in the UH1, but you have still flight control, and the helicopter is slow in reaction, and you have a lot of space for cyclic movements. As you can see in the upper right window, there will be no chance to over control on the cyclic, so that makes it much easier. So let's try it and swing around the cyclic control, and that's normal in real life helicopters as well. So you can swirling around with your cyclic control if you're fast enough. The helicopter don't move. It may be not that much, but it's still possible, and we will show that in the normal flight settings of the UE as well. So let's try a short flight, but for me, as I said, it's very difficult because my control inputs are not strong enough. So I'm always too late. Yeah. So let's bring it back to the ground safely. And let's bring the setups back to the default. Yep, here we are. So you can see the big movements on the cyclic control necessary when flying with a Y axis with 16. So changing the controls back to 60, from 60 to 100 to the default settings. So if you're actual helicopter pilot, you should be able to fly the UE without any changes in settings. But yep, it depends on the practice and how often you train. And yeah. So actually, it's much more difficult to fly a helicopter on a PC. The easiest way is go to the real world, sit into a helicopter with a flight instructor and just learn to fly. That's the easiest way to learn it, because you have all the feelings, acceleration, deceleration. You have a better view and all stuff like that. So that makes it much more easier than at home on your PC screen. So that's actually the most difficult way to fly a helicopter. So as you can see, even with default settings, you may swirling around your cyclic control. The only thing is you have to be fast enough to delete or overcome your first input with the next input and so on. So okay, back to the ground and switch over to the Gazelle. So at the Gazelle we make the same thing. Out of the communities, there's not much information in the DCS community, but there's some information available. And one guy is flying with Y axis of 40, so we tried that as well. So we bring it back to 40, and make the adjustments for cyclic control on 40 on both axes, roll and pitch axis. Okay, adjust to 60. Oh, pardon, 40. And back into the aircraft. So with this adjustment, it makes it much easier, but if you do not have any experience in helicopter, it will be challenging as well. So learning to fly in the Gazelle is very hard, so it may be much easier in UH1 or in the Mi 8. So, but yeah, it's still possible. But you should not go below 40, because if the Gazelle speeds up, I show you the when you look in the right upper corner, I show you this swirling around with the cyclic. It's also possible in the Gazelle, so it's like in any helicopter, because of the late reaction of the mass of the weight of the helicopter. You can swirl around your cyclic and nothing will happen, or not much will happen. It's also possible in the Gazelle, of course, with the Y axis reduced to 40, but okay, and back on the ground. So yeah, it may be easier to learning to fly in a different model, but you can do it in the Gazelle, but you have a little bit more crash and flames and stuff like that, and it depends on your personal preferences. So okay, in person I fly with Y axis of 90 and a curve with 4. So that gives me a little bit more movement in the central position of my cyclic control, and back in the air. And I got a break in my last in the last information. If you reduce it too much, the epsilon axis too much below 40, and you go in fast forward flight or with the Gazelle, you may not have not enough cyclic control anymore to pitch up the nose. When you look in the right upper corner, you may see it even with the small adjustments. I still have big movements on the joystick when the Gazelle speeds up. So there are big inputs, sometimes very big inputs necessary to stop movement or change direction, change flight attitude. And that's what's really challenging in the Gazelle is the switch between no movements on actually quite no movements in hover to very big movements in forward flight, especially in low altitudes, close to the ground. You have to make big inputs sometimes, and even with the 90x, the epsilon axis, and the small adjustments in curve, it's possible to swirl around the cyclic control, but she's reacting much quicker than the UH1 or the Mi 8. So you have to be careful and yeah, a little bit of experience. Okay, so even for the Gazelle, there is in the DCS menu you find the point. It's called Easy Flight Model. So if you do not have any experience or you're not a really experienced helicopter pilot, change that point in the option menu from the Gazelle. Switch over to Easy Flight Model. It's actually the same like in the UH1. You're reducing the difficulty of flying. It makes it much easier without changing the physics, the flight physics. So the flight physics will be actually the same, the coordination between cyclic and collective control. There is no big movement, big changes, but it just makes it easier. You have more movements. You can make more movements on cyclic, on collective, without changing physics. So that's the easiest and most convenient part to do that. So arcade doesn't have to do with changing from simulation to just gaming. It's simply reducing. You don't have to have that much experience, and in the Gazelle, the easy control mode would make the same. It's just the same flight physics, but it's easier to handle. So, thank you for watching. Hope you see you next time. Please subscribe to my channel, and if you have any questions, go to the comments below. So, maybe I see you next time. Hopefully I see you next time. Thank you very much for watching, and bye bye.